the biggest part of this is the structure itself and where that piece of the history is going to put in there. And the structure itself is going to be a piece of the history because part of the requirements is that we include a part of the existing bridge. And that's another thing that you guys get to help us out with. So typically, an RFP is a completely written document. And that is what we're going to ask you guys from to. We'll deliver that RFP to you later in the month, but the majority of this is going to be a written document. But since you guys are a creative bunch, and I know you guys have some other resources, we're going to open it up to allow you to do a few other hands-on things and allow you to use your creativity. If you guys have modeling capabilities, video capabilities, you can put together a cool rendering or photo of what it is you guys are going to build. We're going to allow that. It'll just be scored as part of your presentation. And for those of you schools that don't have all those capabilities, that's fine too. There's not going to be any coolness points awarded, okay? So with every project that we do like this, like a design build, we always set some goals. I mean, that gives you guys the idea of what we're shooting for, what are we asking for. So these are the goals we put together for this panel. Is delight the community with a design that best represents the history of the Champ Clark Bridge. So that's what we're looking for, is what can you put together that shows us the history of this bridge. And then deliver us a design that could be constructed on budget. I mean, if you guys came to us and said, this sculpture of butter is going to be great. No, we can't take sculpture of butter, right? Show us what you got and can it be constructed. Show us your thought process behind that. And importantly there is the budget. I mean, you guys can come to us with something really cool and it's gold plated, but we can't afford to do that, right? So keep those things in mind. Our third goal is design a constructible and easily maintainable interpretive panel. This panel gets turned over to the city in the end, and it's their baby to maintain. So it's important to them that it's a blessing and not a burden, right? That whatever you guys give them can be maintained for years to come at a reasonable cost. So then we get down to the schedule. How's this semester going to look? Because at the end of your guys' semester is when we're going to ask you to deliver this to us. So first, towards the end of the month, like I mentioned, on January 29th, we'll deliver the RFP to you. Then towards the end of February, we'll come and meet with you one-on-one. So in between there, we're kind of expecting you guys to get your thinking caps on, get started on your design, and when we come to you that last week in February, we kind of want to see your concept, what's your thought there. And then we give you about another month to work on it, and we come back and we want to see what you have, what we would call a preliminary design. You're part of the way there, you have your groundwork set, and you're ready to go, but you got some questions for us, and we're going to help you fine tune that. So then when we come back to you in April, you guys are set. You got your final, and you're ready to present to us and show us what you got. So then we'll meet with you that first week in April, and the following week, on a Wednesday night, we're going to do an award ceremony. We want you to bring your families, and we're going to showcase your guys' work. We'll showcase all of the work, but we'll announce at that time which one of your designs is the winning design. And then the following week after that, we'll come back to you guys one more time, and we'll give you feedback on your design. I mean, this is a learning opportunity for all of you, and it'll give you guys a chance to learn from what we did there. So next is on the 29th, those RFPs, we're going to deliver to you in person on a USB drive. We want to make this as feasible for you guys, and I don't know how many limitations each of you have. So we're going to bring it to you in person on a thumb drive, and then you guys can keep that thumb drive to deliver your proposal to us. We're not expecting you guys to spend any money printing it or anything like that. We'll print it ourselves. You just give it to us on a thumb drive and present to us on that final day. So that is going to be a very busy day for me, driving around to see each one of you. And also in that day, there's a website we're going to use. It's called SharePoint. It's a Microsoft tool where we're going to collaborate with you guys. You guys can ask us questions back and forth. So on that day, I'd like to meet with your team sponsors and kind of introduce you to that portal so you guys understand it, we both feel comfortable with it, and I can jump onto the next school. So each of your team sponsors, I know we were still working out who your team lead was. If you could each email me who that is, so when I show up, they're ready and I'm ready and we can get that taken care of. If any of those times you think are not going to work out, let me know. We can just put it off another day. But for me to physically get to each school each day, that's the work I got to do today. Okay, so like I mentioned already, the one-on-ones, we've blocked out 80 minutes to come and visit with you on each one of these meetings. That may be too much for some of you, but it's your time. That's how much time we're giving to you. So the floor is open. We're going to give you feedback, so ask us anything. We're going to be open on this because we want your guys' innovation. As engineers that have been doing this a while, we get kind of shoehorned into, let's just get it done and it's going to be this way. But we want this to be more creative, and you guys are creative. I know you are. So show us what you got. If there's something we need you to pull back on, we're going to let you know that. So give us your innovation. And then, like I said, at that final meeting, that time is yours to present to us your idea. And we'll just ask you a few ideas, make sure we understand what you want, and then we're off to go score your proposal. So besides at those meetings, like I mentioned, how are you going to be able to reach us to ask questions? So that's where that SharePoint site comes into hand. There'll be a list out there where each of you can come in and ask questions as you like. And we want to kind of try and limit that to your team sponsors or a responsible person that team sponsor chooses to do that. And that list will show you what everyone's asked. So if your question was, how big of an area do we have to work in? And you see that's already listed, you don't have to ask it again, it's already on there. So that saves us both a little time back and forth, that all the questions are there in one place. And that will also be where we will share electronic documents with you there, just like this presentation. We'll make that available to you on that SharePoint site as well. So some of these questions that you ask may make us rethink what we've asked for in the RFP. And if it does, we may want to change the RFP. And that is called an addendum. So what's an addendum? It's, like I said, just a change to the RFP. And we'll let each of you guys know what changes we make there. We'll share it to you via that SharePoint site, and we'll email it to your team sponsors. So you guys know what we've changed. We'll call it out so it's really clear, and you'll know if we said, initially we said you got a 10 by 10 area to work in, and then we got notice that it needs to be much smaller or bigger or whatever. We'll let you know up front what that change is. So here's some ways that you guys can keep in touch with the project too. Spelled out the URLs since you have some hard copies here. But we do have a website. We've had that for quite a while, walking through the process here, and it's where we share a newsletter and things like that. And then we have a couple Facebook pages. Maskman's put together a Facebook page that shows the replacement of the bridge and how all that's going. And then we also have our Northeast District Facebook page that'll keep you up to date. We have a project camera. I don't know if any of you have seen that yet, but it's always focused right on the bridge work, and it updates every few minutes, and that's available there. It's called a Knox Blue camera. And then you can also sign up for text alerts and email alerts just specifically on the project or the area or whatever like that. So we'll open it up to you for some questions. We do have some goodies here to pass out for any good questions, so make sure you ask some questions.
So what questions do you have?
I have a question. So, of the original bridge, what, is there a specified part that you're planning on including in the memorial, or are we choosing, or is it, are there ideas for
We're leaving
this?
it open to you guys on what you put in there. But we're also going to judge you on how reasonable it is for us to get to, right? So if you're gonna ask us to dig up the footing and make it the new footing of this, that's gonna be really tough for us to do. So we'll judge you based on that. We do have the plaques, like we mentioned, available. So one of those could be incorporated with that.
Is there any certain type of building material that we really be using?
It's up to you. Part of what she mentioned was it has to be maintainable. So what we want to do is we want to think about we don't want to build it out of paper, right? Because that might degrade really quick. So we want to, whatever materials we're constructing this out of, we just want to make sure that it's maintainable. So if it's a metal surface, we might have to paint it. You know, the city would have to paint it every so many years. If it's a wood surface, they may have to paint it a little more often, etc. So just give some consideration into what kind of material you're using as far as the maintenance. And obviously cost plays into it as well. And as you mentioned, gold plating can get a little expensive, but gold's really good. It doesn't break down. So think about that. Yes?
So do we know exactly what the budget is for the memorial?
Yes, the budget will be in the RFP.
Oh, okay.
Do you know, Randy, do you remember what the budget in the RFP is?
We have not finalized the budget yet, have we?
We've not finalized. So we had a budget for the entire project. We told the team that Massman that this is part of the project and you have to take this into consideration when you submit your bid to build this. So they have allocated a certain amount of resources available for this, and we'll put that in the RFP, and you will be able to have that cost. In addition, when we meet with the one-on-ones, we will give you some insight and guidance into what different materials cost and some labor costs, so that when you go to estimate your project, you're not just blindly running around trying to do your own research. We'll help you with some of that research. Yes?
What are the size restrictions?
Right now, I think we're going to have a 10 by 10 square foot, 10 by 10, and a 10 foot high. So this is something we're working out with the city because it is going in their park. We want to make sure it's something they're comfortable with, the location, the size, etc. Yes.
So we do have a location.
We do have a location, and we are going to transport you there to go look at this here after we get done with our Q&A.
Does it have to be specifically in like a certain area of that location, or can we?
At this point, yes. The city has designated a certain area. We're working with them to designate a specific area.
Okay.
So that area potentially could change because we haven't got the final approval. They're still trying to sort out. They've given us 2, I think, areas that they're kind of locations that
We're talking about 3 different ones. but we-
potentially 3. Okay. So yes.
All right, so you said earlier that we're going to have a written document that needs to be with this. What all needs to be included in that document?
So when we what we're asking for is you to provide us a narrative, probably a short narrative of your design. Obviously photos or sketches, or if you want to, Randy mentioned earlier, maybe even a model if you are interested in going that far. But we want to see some kind of an image or sketch, drawing, rendering, whatever you want to call it, of what that would look like.
And more of those details will be lined out in that RFP. We'll put up a page limit on each section that we're asking you for, probably a couple pages or so. We really want to limit it because we're limited on how much time we have to store it. But, and you guys will be able to get your thoughts across in a couple pages. You don't have to feel obligated to fill it either.
No.
If you feel like you can get a representative with a model or whatever, you don't have to
But you might want to talk about, hey, we chose to use this part of the bridge because X, Y, Z, these reasons, or we chose to do this because we think it represents this piece of the history, etc. So
Yeah, the more you explain it to us, the easier it'll be on us.
it's really selling and your product that you're coming up with, marketing it, however you want to term it. That's what we're looking for, but we're not asking for a term paper here. This is supposed to be fun. We don't want this to be seen as homework and just another assignment that you have to do. This is something that we want you to be able to have fun with, use your creative side, at the same time learn something about engineering, etc., bridges, and the history of our bridge. Any more questions? Yes?
Is it more like a plaque or a statue? Or can it be
It can be either. So part of what we're going to have, Karen's group is going to be putting together the history of it. And they're going to have some verbiage that they're going to want on a plaque or a panel that is incorporated into this. So at least part of it is going to be, a panel, maybe, 2 or 3 foot by 2 or 3 foot that has some verbiage about the bridge. I'm sure it will talk about when it was built, why it was named Champ Clark Bridge, and some other things. So that will be part of it. But however you want to incorporate it, part of the existing bridge is a requirement to incorporate with whatever you're doing. So, any other questions?
So we ran a little long here. I'm looking at the teachers here, do we have time to still go up?
What we have is we now have an early out at 11:30 for weather related. So we need to be back in Hannibal by 11:30. So that would say we need 45 minutes or so to be on the road before that time.
Okay, so by, yeah. So I
So
think we
we-
have time, is that good with everybody else? Okay. And Mr. Gander here says his bus is available, so we can load up on there, go check out the site. We can